Good morning. It is Monday morning, 5 o'clock. You can see I'm ready to work, ready to drive and do local deliveries, which I'm excited. For the past 2 days, we've been seeing a lot of videos of high school kids, middle schools, elementary kids outside protesting where it's not even safe. We've seen kids on streets. We've seen kids getting hit by cars in California. We've seen kindergarten kids outside, even though from what I could tell, they were still on school grounds, but still. We also seen parents running towards schools, wondering where the kids are after they've probably seen a video of kids from the school that her kids go to are out protesting, and the schools didn't even know where the student is at that moment, which is very dangerous. And that kind of made me furious, that there's no accountability, there's no safety, because oftentimes there's some protests that may be mixed with kids over time, because kids are marching in the middle of the street, in the middle of the cities, and we don't know who those protesters are. We don't know what their backgrounds they are. They could have a huge rap sheet, right, of criminal conduct. We just don't know. Allowing students outside the school grounds and protesting, you're putting kids in danger, And so I think, so last night, I just been so bothered by this. And it's like, what can we do to protect our kids, right? Our future generations. And I came up with two, I was just making notes going like crazy, 10:30, 11 o'clock last night, because I'm a very passionate person when it comes to safety. And I came up with two, the Perimeter Act, which mainly tells protesters not to be within a quarter mile of the school, and also the P.E.R.I.M.E.T.E.R Act, which informs parents, of what is going on. And oftentimes you have to inform them a week in advance, right? And you have to have safeguards, so parents are aware. And then also it tells schools not to do things out of the blue, all of a sudden, without notifications towards parents or warnings, and stuff like that. And if something like this happens where students walk out, teachers, staff members are supposed to do whatever they can to keep students in. If it gets out of control, start calling parents, So Perimeter Act and P.E.R.I.M.E.T.E.R Act. In this video, I'll go ahead and go over the Perimeter Act. I do apologize, my accent and the terminology is a lot. So I'll slow things down and try to enunciate so you can hear me nice and clear. And then next video, I'll go over the P.E.R.I.M.E.T.E.R Act. Those two acts, I think they kind of go hand in hand. Very beautiful, okay? And so this is my first time putting something like this together, so please be patient, understanding of some mistakes may be in it, but it's the thought that counts, right? Anyway, so the Perimeter Act, it will stand for Protection, Education through Restricted Interference and Mandate Enforcement of Threat-Free Educational Radii Act, okay? Pretty much Safe School Perimeter Act. The legislative findings and purpose. Children have fundamental rights to safe, calm, and distraction-free learning environment. I think both parties, Republicans and Democrats, would agree to this. Protests and demonstration near K-12 schools have, in some instances, disrupted learning, caused fear, endangered students and staff. Large or spontaneous gatherings near schools present inherent safety risks because the identities, intentions, and background of participants are unknown, making it difficult to assess potential threats in real time. And I really believe that. The purpose of this act is not to restrict lawful speech, but to establish reasonable time place, and manner protection around school in order to safeguard minors and preserve school operations. Definition: the purpose of this act. School means any public, charter, or private K-12 school facilities, including school buildings, playgrounds, sometimes the playgrounds, away, athletic field, parking areas, and school-owned property. And playground, I think that should be almost any playground because there are kids with parents. What do you think, parents? You tell me. Do you want to protest near your playground where your kids are currently playing, right? Let's continue. Protest and demonstration means any organized or unorganized gathering of two or more persons intended to express political, ideological, social, or religious views through chanting, signage, amplified speech. I should add a whistle so that. Marching or other excessive conduct. School perimeter zone means all areas within 1/4 of a mile of a school's property boundaries. So I would say about 4 blocks will be a good, safe idea, if you try and judge. Or better yet, if you're near a school, Google to the school and see what distance that is from your location to the school. It will tell you exactly how far you are from school, which is a perfect way to determine if you are within the school, within the perimeter of the safe zone. Prohibited conduct. No person shall organize, lead, participate in, or encourage a protest or demonstration within school perimeter zone while school is in session or during school-sponsored activities like football, like outside football, right? The prohibition applies to regardless of viewpoints or subject matter. Now, there is exceptions to this. This act does not prohibit peaceful school-approved assemblies or educational activities conducted on the school ground. Parents or guardians engaging in ordinary school-related activities such as pick up or drop-off, conferences, or sporting events. Individuals' expressive activities that is not part of their organization protest and does not disrupt school operation. So individual expressive activity, that's very important, okay? Does not include that. Lawful labor activity, neighborhood gathering, or casual expressive activity that is not organized as protest and does not disrupt school operational. So penalties, let's talk about penalties, right? It should be much, much higher than what I have, but, and it can always, go up higher, because charges could be stacked as well. A person knowingly violates this act or unknowingly, right? It should be both. Act is guilty of a misdemeanor punishable by a fine not more than $1,000 or imprisonment for not more than 90 days, because I take our future generation's safety very serious. They need to have the space away from the craziness that's happening in our world. They need a safe haven, because when I was a kid, school was my safe haven. It really was. I always look forward to being in school because I felt the safest in school, surrounded by friends, teachers, and books. So we have to create that environment for kids to be safe in the school, because there may be many kids that feel the same way as I did when I was a kid, looking forward to school because that's like their safe space. Continuing on. Each day a violation continues constitutes a separate offense. Enhanced penalties. I hope this never gets to this point because we have serious problems if it does. We hope by then police will have been involved and so forth. Serious interference with school safety. A person who, during violation of this act, blocks or obstructs school entrances or exits. uses amplified sound devices, or engages in threatening, harassing, or intimidating conduct towards students, school staffs, or parents. And this, a fine of not more than $2,000 or imprisonment of not more than 180 days. And this consists of if the school sends out staff members to the perimeters to drag protests away and they get harassed, that's considered violation as well too. Because when there's a huge protest and staff members go out about a quarter mile, to make sure protesters are not coming near, and they start harassing the staff members, we have a problem. Let's continue. Section 7, enforcement. Local and state law enforcement agencies are authorized to enforce this act. Officers may order violators to disperse and may take an arrest without warning when necessary to protect students' safety or restore order. I do encourage officers to give verbal warnings at least 3 times, just to let them know that this is a school zone violation of the P.E.R.I.M.E.T.E.R Act. If they fail to disperse or move away immediately, then by means arrest them. Civil liability protection. No school district, school employees, or law enforcement officers acting in good faith under this act shall be subject to civil liability for actions taken in enforcement. So if a teacher tackles one of your protesters protecting a child, that teacher is protected. You cannot sue the school or that staff member, that teacher, right? Or if the school goes after that teacher, trying to prevent kids, trying to shove kids back into the school for their safety, like I saw only once in Roosevelt High School, then the teacher is protected. And in fact, the teacher should sue the school. Anyway, let's continue. Any provision of this act is held invalid to remaining provisions shall remain in full force and effect. A school district shall post clearly visible signage at perimeter entrances stating that protests and demonstrations are prohibited within the school perimeter zone. Failure to post signage does not invalidate enforcement of this act. So even if there's no signage, you still have to follow the P.E.R.I.M.E.T.E.R Act. So I don't know. What do you think, parents, teachers? Do you think this is a good act to make sure protesters are outside a quarter mile of the school? I believe it's an excellent act, and I think this should be passed immediately this year. In fact, this should be passed this month, but I'm not in office, so Ross Nova shooting forward, brighter, bolder with P.E.R.I.M.E.T.E.R Act for a better tomorrow. Thank you.